Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is currently Tuesday, January 17th, 2012, and this is Day 9 Daily number 402, where we learn to be a better gamer. Let me share some facts with you. First of all, it's Newbie Tuesday. Yeah! I think this is actually the first Newbie Tuesday of the year. Second fact, this light blew out, so it's a little bit gloomier in here today. I don't know, I just feel it feels a little bit more of a downer daily, but don't worry because I will try to bring as much enthusiasm and brightly colored apparel as I can. And third, and perhaps the most important fact, this is my second attempt at doing this daily. Now, sometimes what's happened is I've come live and I've gone, hey, welcome to the Daily 9 Date, crap, and then I restart. And sometimes you archive viewers will hear about that. I was actually about 25 minutes into the episode before I realized that wow, it just totally was not functioning at all. So I just said, you know what, rebooting. And let this be a testament to the fact that no brain ever will ever be able to function even above average every single day. So for any of you who are out there struggling StarCrafters, you've been feeling so good for a week and you hit that day where you slump, don't worry, because everyone slumps at everything sometimes. Especially me, hanging out here slumping hard on this Tuesday, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm doing the daily anyways. I don't give a butt. And that is how I make this daily PG-13. By not giving a damn, or a butt, or a sparrow. So, today's topic is going to be the late game, talking about your late game replays. I made a request for submissions, whether it be pro or your replays, but what I found was that there were a lot of sort of just interesting examples in the ones that you submitted. Next week, we're going to be taking a look at all the pro replays, how those pros sort of funnel their way through the late game. But the important thing is your games, because you, unlike some of those pros, perhaps have not been playing StarCraft 2 for that long. Maybe just since it got released, and before that, you didn't have that much RTS experience. There's this very painful thing that happens with your brain when you step past around 20 minutes, where suddenly everything becomes a little bit murky. In the early game, things feel so clear, because you're used to even thinking about things in terms of build orders, right? This is my build order, and it lets me get detection just in time for a Banshee. And that's why it's a solid build order. I have just enough units to hold off a Marine push. These sorts of things. And when you lose, you say, oh, darn, I should have gotten detection earlier because his Banshee showed up and I didn't have detection. Or, oh, he dropped a bunch of Banelings in my main base, killed off all my workers. I guess I better be on the lookout for that next time. But in the late game, it suddenly stops being about, he had A, and I didn't have a response for A. It's, well, he just had a lot of things, and he killed me. And there you go. Cool. And that's about all your brain does. And often, where you might have answers in the early game, you have no answers at all for the late game. So, what I want to do is look at some of these games. And the first thing I'm going to do is look at snapshots. I'm going to come over to this game between a Zerg player by the name of Flankzilla, which is an unreal good name, and a guy by the name of Alimber, which is a fine name. You have some big armies hanging out here. And as we look at this game state, I want you to think about the very important bit of information I'm about to state. You have no idea what happened before this point in the game. Why is there an expansion here and no expansion here? I mean, we see 2-2 upgrades done. Did he start his upgrades early? Did he start his upgrades late? Well, sometimes you'd be able to look at the game timer down here and tell, but you can see that I've actually disabled this. Did our Zerg, I see our Zerg player building a spire. Did he lose his spire, right? And obviously the answer is no, because he has flyer attack building. But what happened in the past doesn't matter, right? You've seen The Lion King. What happens in the past is meaningless in StarCraft 2. You can step into this game state right now and tell me who is where. And again, this is from a replay watcher's perspective. If you're in a game and you have seen him build Dark Templar, 10 minutes later, you can't be like, it doesn't matter that I saw him build DTs, it's in the past. What I mean is, you should be able to step into a game that is right here and say, am I ahead or am I behind? Who is at an advantage right now? That's a question I'd ask. We're looking around. This expansion's kind of running dry. Looks like we have a hive done, but no greater spire up. And here's a great example of how when the past negatively influences your brain. How long has this hive been done? Does not matter, right? How long has this hive been done? Let's say this hive has been done for 5 minutes and FlyingZilla hasn't even begun a greater spire yet. You would view that as a terrible mistake, and then your brain would erroneously think, oh, well, if that's a terrible mistake, then Zerg must be behind. Doing a mistake is a completely different thing from being behind in a general game state. So when we look right here, I would look at these comparative armies. Ooh, God, it's pretty close. I'm ignoring this huge, giant swath of money that's going on here. Well, we all have our various opinions about who is at an advantage in this situation. If I was forced to, I would give a big advantage to Zerg right now. That's probably where I would go. Probably would have been scouting this expansion and that sort of thing. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to step to a different moment in the game. Well, it looks like there was some conflict here. And looks like we kind of have a Roach Zergling force. See how you're kind of getting a different feel? We can tell that this is later than the other example because we clearly have some drones that have mined out this expansion. Oh my god. You guys, I can't actually focus. Crap. I can't, my brain sucks. You know what? I will never just stop doing a daily in the middle of a daily. So you know what, guys? We're gonna do whatever you want today. I'm gonna have to redo this show completely. My brain cannot pull the thoughts together. I'm in the middle of a sentence. And let me actually just talk a little bit about what it's like to just do a show live every day. I can't prepare a script. It's obviously way too much writing, right? So what I do is I trust myself, right? What I do is I will begin talking, and I will always have an outline, a clear sense of what's going on. And when I'm in the middle of a sentence, I don't quite know where the sentence will go, but I just trust that my brain will come up with something. Right? I trust that something will happen. And what keeps happening here is it's blackness. It is complete and total empty, utter darkness. I'm in the middle of a sentence like, and you see it's different. And there needs to be a conclusion here, right? I need to conclude something. I need to be able to say, see how it feels different? This is a sign of... Even right now, my brain is not firing. Let me think. Wow. Wow, it looks like everyone was typing all sorts of things. Monobattle. Something non-StarCraft related. I'm going to vote for. Now, you know what's the funniest thing of all... Guys, let me turn the mute on the chat off. Mods, don't mute the chat. Turning off slow mode. Might be another AMA, I guess. I can do text twist or something like that. Text twist I'm fine with. We can tell some stories and stuff. Oh, well that chat is not useful because it's flying 1,000,000 miles an hour. 1,000,000 miles per hour. That daily stunk. Wow. Huh. Let's put a positive spin on it, right? In 401 dailies, it took the 402nd daily before I had to quit mid-show. Quitting mid-show is a huge deal, and I shouldn't do it anymore, but... Wow, I had a brain fart. Yeah, brain fart. Yeah. Trip24 said it right. Had a brain fart. And apparently the light bulb on the ceiling, it's the light bulb of my mind. Huh. Alright guys, it's Q&A time. We're going to do a Q&A for like 20 minutes, and I'm going to play some text twist. That's just what we're doing. Damn it! I couldn't hold it together. Couldn't hold it together. Oh, someone says I did it once before. Wait, who said that? Have I actually stopped mid-daily before? Oh, was it I'm T-Fade? What was the other time that I did it? Is this the first time? I thought it was the first time. Let's see here. Man. Let me tell you a little bit about what I wanted to try to talk about in the daily. Stuff about the late game. The big thing is the sort of snapshot thing where you step in and you say, am I ahead, behind, or whatever? And, you know, jumping around in a replay, seeing a spot and just saying, is it ahead, behind, what's going on? Because in that last game that I didn't actually end up finishing because I just turned it off because I was doing terrible, it was interesting because if you actually started skipping ahead, you'd see that, okay, between 21 and 24, it looks like almost the same between 21 minutes and 24 minutes. And when I look between 24 and 27, it's almost the same. When I look between 27 and 30, it's almost the same. There was actually almost no change in the amount of bases or the amount of creep or just the amount of positioning that the Zerg player had. And it's when you see those long periods of stagnation that your brain should go, ooh, I better kick into high gear. Things about expanding behind attacks, blah, 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 blah. Wow. Here's a great question from NeoDDSC Day 9. I'm a Platinum Protoss on ladder who keeps getting steamrolled by mass roaches. You and every Protoss in the world, don't worry about it. Been opening with 3-gate expand into +2. Any advice for taking my third and not dying to those roaches? There is nothing wrong with building 2 or 3 immortals, putting them in your Blink Stalker Force, and make absolutely certain that you keep your sentry count high. Interestingly, if you have like 12 Stalkers, 3 immortals, or actually let me change the numbers. If you have like 16 Stalkers and 3 immortals, it's not nearly as good as 12 Stalkers, 3 immortals, and 4 sentries. Replacing those Stalkers with sentries. The force field is probably the most important tool for demolishing those mid-game roach armies until you can get a lot of Colossi up, or a lot of Storms up. Let me see here. Day 9. I tried the Bomber TVZ build, but I got killed at 6 minutes and 30 seconds by 8 roaches. Any advice? Yeah, sure. With the Bomber build, you open up with double Hellion, and then you build a tech lab on the barracks, but just so you can switch it with the factory and begin making Marines and tanks. If you see those roaches coming, which you probably should be able to see with your Hellion timing, you just leave the tech lab on, build Marauders, and you actually end up in quite good shape. And then after you've built enough Marauders and Hellions to help stay alive and withstand the roach push, which actually ends up being not that big a deal, then you can just easily hop right back into the normal mode and pretend that those Marauders were never constructed in the first place. Oh, man. Darth Solis asks why I don't play Amnesia Justine. Because the original Amnesia is such a scary game. Oh, God, it's like the scariest game ever. God, it was frightened me. I lost sleep and all that miserable stuff. Oh. Oh. Wow. You know, it's kind of funny because with playing StarCraft, it's so easy to focus on the game, right? So easy to think like, God, oh, that game went terribly. I needed to get sentries out here. Oh, I needed to put 2 zealots at that ramp. But one thing that happens when you've been playing for a really long time, I mean like over the course of years, not just in a day, you start examining yourself and sort of like looking, it's like, now what is happening to me? Like one thing that I want to point out to you all the time when you're playing, I want you to like put your hands on your mouse and keyboard right now. And imagine, don't click the buttons, but imagine that moment where something really scary happens, right? And something like occurs in the game where you kind of like perk up straight and you kind of lean in and all that good stuff happens. And right now, freeze in this moment, and now relax your shoulders. Almost anyone I ever talk to, when they're playing and it starts to get really intense, you'll slowly see this happen. You slowly start seeing like where this starts to occur, and it's really hard because like my shoulders are up right now, and then when I step into the next game, I don't realize that if I just drop my shoulders, it helps so much. Like when you drop your shoulders, I want you to notice that relax your shoulders really hard. And now feel your wrist on the table of your mouse hand. Feel it. You can control your mouse a lot more easily with a relaxed shoulder than if your shoulder's up high. Just lift your shoulder up high and try to click on things accurately. Now relax your shoulder. Now try to click on things accurately. You'll notice it's a lot easier. It's a hell of a lot easier. So it's those sort of like physical self-examinations that actually became pretty useful over time. And it's funny for me, like right now as a caster, being aware of me doing things that my body normally does fine, and just like won't do it. Just like won't do it. It's like one of those days where you try to type in your passwords and you just can't type it in quickly. You actually have to like slow down and do all that stuff. It's weird. Like, for instance, right now, like, I can't read the chat and talk at the same time, which is something I've been doing for 2 years. I mean, it's something that you have to, like, train yourself to do, because it's, like, really hard not to just, like, repeat out loud what I'm seeing. I'm trying to, like, split my brain in half, but now I'm, like, reading, and my brain won't actually fire. How many hours will you stream Reckoning? I'll probably stream